Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zoe Muro. And now, here's Zoe.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the New Thought Media Network. My name is Zoe Muro, and I am delighted and honored to be your host for Choice, your creative superpower, coming to you from Oakland, California, each Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 noon Mountain Time. What do we do here? We explore how you can wield your superpower for the greatest good as you co-create your life experience. If you're coming back, it is so very good to have you here again. And if this is your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm a religious science practitioner with the New Thought Media Network. I'm also a transformational coach. My ministry as a practitioner and my mission as a coach are to help people live their lives to the fullest. Hello, Muro. Oh, you're in my part of the world. Good to see you. Hello, Shay. Good to see you as well. Shay's going to have a show very soon here on the New Thought Media Network. Make sure you check that out. Okay, let's see. So, today is episode 44. We'll be exploring the relationship between choice and purpose. What an incredibly broad and deep topic this is. The dictionary simply says that a purpose is the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. When we speak of purpose for our exploration today, we're looking at our life's purpose. Now, understand that when I might say your life's purpose, it doesn't mean that there is a singular purpose and that is it for your entire life. Could be a number of them. They could be smaller and larger, shorter and longer. All right, so let's take a look at this in more detail. You know, we can say when we look at nature that the purpose of life is to live, to do what is necessary to grow and sustain an organism. We, however, as human beings, while we are indeed nature ourselves, we are more than our physical being. Our lives are made up of more than survival. We have these wonderful big brains which were developed for far more than mere survival. We have the capacity to thrive. And we have emotions and feelings, beliefs, and goals. We have the capability to determine our surroundings, to develop an environment, to move unimpeded by geographic constraints. We are free to choose. Now, that is at least our baseline, our starting point, our innate capability. But as is obvious and oftentimes painfully obvious, that baseline can be ignored, it can be hidden, it can be obstructed, it can be taken away. Sometimes by our own choices, other times without our consent at all. There most certainly are people who are forced to live a most meager existence, just as there are those who forced them to do so. There are those who seek to acquire and retain all they can, regardless of the detrimental effects for others. And blessed be, there are those who willingly give all they can to ensure that others are cared for. Each of these groups has a purpose. Each of us has a purpose. There's a quote from The Pathway of Roses by Christian Larson I'd like to share with you. This is a mouthful, but it states some important aspects of purpose so well. And by the way, I'm changing pronouns in here so that it's not an exact quote. But here's what he said, pronouns notwithstanding. The purpose of life is to move upward and onward forever. To live is to live more. But no person is actually living more unless they are living more every single moment. The moment they begin to live more, they begin to ascend. And when they begin to grow into the greater, they begin to grow out of the lesser. When they grow into the right, they grow out of the wrong. They gain freedom from that which is not desired by entering more fully into the life and the spirit of that which is desired. Like I said, it's a mouthful, but an important mouthful. Now, for a more concise approach to purpose, how about this from Staying on the Path by Dr. Wayne Dyer? A purpose is not something that you're going to find. It's something that will find you. And it will find you only when you're ready and not before. I like that one. I would be willing to bet that at some point in your life, for you and for me, for most of us, we've sat down and we've wondered, why am I here? That profound existential question might have developed from a place of comfort and wonder, or it might have cried out from a place of pain and frustration. I can absolutely say that for myself, that addiction brought that question to mind many times before I got clean and sober. And again, I dealt with it in depression. I can also say that now, when that question arises for me, it's coming from a place of excitement and opening to more and greater. Each step that I have taken on my spiritual journey has presented me with more choices to co-create my greatest life experience. So the first choice I would see regarding purpose would be choosing to ask oneself that simple though profound question, what is my purpose? Now, there are many ways you can explore the question. I find visioning to be a great choice. Now, I don't want to get into a whole big discussion about visioning. It's really too big a topic for this episode. But I will say that there are different ways and different forms of visioning, each of which can provide the insight you seek. I know personally, as soon as someone gives me a formula, my rebellious streak says, I don't like formulas. Well, that's not always the best thing to do. I mean, yes, sometimes formulas can be restrictive. They can be too conforming. But then again, it's worth exploring. You can always reject it later, right? And I have used a number of different techniques. Michael Beckwith is probably one of the most succinct and easiest to work with. But all I can say is find a way that resonates with you. Okay. And that's an important word, resonate. Very important word. One of the most powerful factors to consider when we make decisions, when we make our choices is that energetic resonance. It might be soothing, it might be jarring, but it is a palpable indicator, and it provides valuable information. And Muro said, our purpose is something deep inside of us that keeps waking up inside us and can never be extinguished. So true. There's a book called Awaken Your Genius by Ozan Varol, and he suggests this question. What do I want from my life? What do I really want? Now, that might sound like an odd question if we're talking about finding our purpose, but listen to these words. I mean, the idea, what do I want? How does that serve the world, right? It's supposed to be open and giving. Well, listen to these words from the brilliant metaphysician and theologian and the mentor to Martin Luther King Jr., by the way, Howard Thurman. He said, let me bring this up here. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. Absolutely. Think of whatever method of visioning you choose as an opportunity for discovery. But allow it to be natural, allow it to be organic. If you choose to see the process as being successful only if it yields some grand result, something monumental or startling, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. I often come out of visioning sessions with nothing more than a word or a feeling. Sometimes it's an image, and other times nothing comes to me at all. Especially when I task myself with a need to see a result. And when I'm in group visioning sessions in particular, I can easily derail the whole process because I want to measure up to what others invariably envision. That's not visioning. That's trying to force an outcome out of what is essentially a fearful place. When you're considering your purpose, don't be concerned at all. All right? Don't be concerned at all about what's going to come. Simply allow it. As I said, it could be something grand, it could be something small. It might actually take a while. Okay. What we're trying to do with visioning, all right, is to engage in a practice that enables us to be aware, to be guided. And it's not a competition. I mean, it's not at all uncommon for me. I'll get a flash of inspiration. I'll get that incredible energetic flow after the session is done. Sometimes even days after, because while my ego might have held me back, spirit continues to explore, to consider, unrestricted by fear or doubt. And as we have pointed out, your purpose is waiting for you, right? It is there for you. Choosing to be open, receptive to whatever might come through during or as a result of that visioning session, I believe is actually crucial to the success of the process. Okay. Whatever you think your purpose might be, it is always worthwhile to ask, to be open to more. I have seen so many changes in my life purpose over the years. And as it turns out, each step that I took was bringing me closer and closer to where I am now. So it's not that the others were wrong. They were part of this. They were stepping stones to where I am now. I want to be clear on this one thing about these purposes, though. Okay. David Spangler writes in his book, The Call, which is another way that people sometimes refer to their purpose. He says, the call is a calling, not a summons. You get to choose whether you want to follow it or not. It may be clear as a bell. It might be muddled or disjointed. It might point towards a path, or it might simply be a feeling. Okay. In his book, Spangler does go on to note further. Let me see, I believe this is the one I want. Some of the most powerful calls that we may receive in our lives, the calls that come from the deepest places in ourselves, are not summonings, but are more like awakenings. They call us to attention. Okay? Not summonings, awakenings that call us to attention. Now, this vision has gotten your attention. So the choice is, how do I want to respond? For that matter, do I want to respond? And make no mistake about it. If you have indeed found your purpose, your life mission, you will need to act. Because your purpose, your life mission, your calling, whatever designation is appropriate for you, is not a passive thing. But it's not a directive either. I personally do not believe that there is one path we are meant to walk, and that if we do otherwise, we're going to bring strife or pain to our life. No, that would negate everything that I believe about humanity and divinity. It would negate everything that we say about how the one loving spirit is indeed love incarnate and wants only our greatest good. Voltaire said, I love this quote, I have this up on my wall, God gave us the gift of life. It is up to us to give ourselves the gift of living well. I feel that there is a time to ask questions, but there's also a time to listen. In the process of understanding one's purpose, we do ask questions, and that's a primary choice in the whole process. But choosing to listen is a close second. So choosing to sort of wash, rinse, and repeat, if you will, all right, going through the process more than once, it can be a wise choice as well. Reverend Robert Brzezinski recommends, look for patterns when visioning. And I'll add, look for an energetic resonance. Understanding your true purpose offers you an opportunity to focus on what Gary Zukov, in his book, Mind of the Soul, refers to as your internal landscape, right? So your true purpose gives you this opportunity to focus on this internal landscape rather than what he refers to as your external landscape. Your external landscape is basically geared towards, for example, where you live or work or go to school. It's the conditions and circumstances that are outside of yourself. While your internal landscape is more specifically your feelings, your senses about the externals and how you relate to them. Zukov cautions us that while we travel through both landscapes as part of life, basing choices on your external landscape and ignoring your internal landscape can create far from ideal experiences. Another way to consider external in this particular case would be the idea of what others expect of you rather than what you expect of yourself. what others feel is correct for you rather than what you feel is correct for yourself. So, from the perspective of purpose, choosing to base your purpose on something that does not resonate with you, something that is really being done to please others, or because you feel you should be doing so, that can produce a result that it can run a gamut from simply being unfulfilled to feeling something just outside of your reach is missing, to a truly disturbing dissatisfaction with life. Mara's adding here, use discernment and intuition. I love the word intuition. Noticing the signs and synchronicities guiding us on our path and journey. Indeed. Well, when we did our episode about identity, we spoke about how identity is absolutely individual and unique. The same is true for your purpose. In Zhukov's words, the internal landscape you traverse is for you to choose. I'll give you an example. My son served in the military for 20 years. He was highly respected for his expertise in avionics, which is the electronics and systems on an aircraft. When he retired from the service, he could have taken any number of really lucrative jobs based on his experience. But what resonated for him was medicine, not electronics. He became a medic before he left the service, and afterwards, when he retired, he studied medicine, went back to college, and he's now a physician's assistant, doing what he loves, and it's also quite profitable. He let his internal landscape, not his external landscape, speak to him. So that internal external isn't always, something bad versus something good. I mean, he had wonderful opportunities in both aspects, but it wasn't what really brought him to life. And how glorious it is to know that what brought him to life is something that is actually literally life-saving. Again, Dr. Dyer's quote, that a purpose is not something you're going to find, it's something that will find you. And it will find you only when you're ready and not before. I would like to add that if you are not ready, rest assured, it'll come looking for you again and again. It's not going to stalk you, it's not going to hound you, but it's always available, always awaiting your recognition and your response. So doing what you can to open yourself to possibility, remembering that whatever you believe to be your greatest good, odds are there's even more. Because our human minds just don't have the capacity to imagine the abundance, the incredible abundance of what loving spirit has to offer us. Understand this. You are meant to live a fulfilling life. And, glorious, you have been given all of the qualities and abilities to do so. I invite you to open yourself to that invitation, because it is an invitation to your feast of goodness, an abundance of well-being, perfect, whole, and complete. Just as you are. Just as you are. Well, It's going to do it for today, folks. I would love to hear your thoughts about choice and purpose. So please feel free to email me here at zodemuro@gmail.com. Always interested in hearing what you think about a given show, what you feel about the topic, or what topics you would like to see me explore in a future episode. And I also would welcome you to come onto the show if you would like to discuss some aspect of choice. So again, send that email to zodemuro@gmail.com. I truly appreciate your spending time with me this week. But I suggest that you go to ntmedia.org. I want you to see all that we have to offer. Today, for example, at 12 noon Pacific time, that's 1 p.m. Mountain time, I invite you to check out Finding the Joy in the Journey with the wonderful Reverend Gina Kolvario-Krupka and her very special guest today, Reverend Laura Topper. Reverend Gina and Laura Topper are both mentors of mine, and they are just incredible. 1 p.m. today, Pacific time, that's 2 p.m. Mountain time, there's a Vibrant Living Hour with a very engaging practitioner, Ken Ludwig. Of course, at 7:15 p.m., 8:15 p.m. Mountain Time, evening prayers. If you're looking for prayer, for meditation, information, discussion, music, we've got it all, and so much more. We have over 40 hours of programming each week because it is our mission to bring the joy of new thought to the widest audience possible. It takes time and talent to present this, no question, but it also takes treasure. So if you can, go to ntmedia.org, find that donate button, and help us make this a world that works for everyone. I have a couple more comments here. Oh, you're very welcome. Good to have you, Mara. Namaste to you as well. And peace, most certainly. All right, folks. So I look forward to seeing you again next week. And until we meet again, by all means, choose well, choose wisely. Much love and many, many blessings. Namaste.
Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zo DeMuro.